Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this month's webinar from Consolidated Credit Solutions. Happy that you were able to join us today for our monthly webinar. I hope that you all can hear me okay. Have some new equipment today, but we're going to go ahead and get started. Of course, as you always know, that if you are a repeat attendee, any questions that you may have regarding the information shared today, you will have an email address on your last slide where we welcome you to email any questions that you may have. In addition, those of you that are just joining, if you don't mind going to the handouts section of this webinar and retrieve the information, the resources that we have there for you, it would be greatly appreciated. My clock shows the top of the hour. So thank you for everyone again for joining us. And we're going to go ahead and get started. Our presentation this month is titled Surviving the Unexpected. Preparation is Peace of Mind. Here's a very sad fact of life. It can take a long time to get out of debt, but you can get deeply into debt in an instant. Today, we're going to talk about both of those things. We're going to review the catastrophes that drive most Americans into serious financial trouble, and we'll share both preventative measures and strong medicine to make your family well and whole again. Before we talk about that, let's outline the problem. Nearly 8 in 10 Americans owe money to someone. That can be a mortgage, it can be a car loan, student loans, credit card balances, or even personal loans. Each one of those Americans owes more than $90,000 on all their debts. Now, that's just an average. So while some owe much less, others owe much, much more. You might be wondering, how did it get that bad? The answer is sad and yet simple. Bad things happen to good people. Even without a pandemic, job loss has historically been the leading cause of personal debt in this country. Last year, more than 320,000 jobs were eliminated, and along with it, all the income that supported those families. That might sound like a big number, but believe it or not, that's much less than in past years. In fact, it was down 86% from the height of the pandemic. After job loss, a leading cause of debt is sadly deaths and serious accident. I realize these statistics are getting grim, so we'll stop after this. But the point here is accidents and injuries aren't just physically and emotionally devastating, they devastate a family's finances as well. So I think we've shown that job loss, accidents, and deaths aren't rare occurrences. Yet, many people pretend they are. They don't plan for disaster to strike. You can check out our other webinar about natural disasters, which also aren't rare and have the same devastating effect on finances. But the family related tragedies we're talking about today have their own unique set of problems and solutions. Here's one more depressing statistic. 41% of Americans can't afford to recover from an emergency situation that would cost them $1,000 right away. They simply don't have that much saved up. That's because they don't have an emergency fund. Here's how to start building one right away. Ideally, you want your emergency fund to cover 3 to 6 months of living expenses. That's the gold standard. The best way to do that is to automate it. For instance, if you get paid via direct deposit, and 82% of Americans do, then ask your company to split your direct deposit. That's right. Most employers will let you send some money to one bank account and some to another. If you send some of your paycheck directly into a separate emergency savings account, you'll never see it in your primary account. That means you won't miss it, or even better, you might even forget it's there until you need it. This works especially well when you get a raise. Instead of spending that newfound money, send it directly to your emergency fund till you build it up to cover 3 to 6 months of expenses. If your budget is so tight that you can't really afford an emergency fund right now, there are some proven ways to squeeze some money from your daily living expenses, often without feeling the pinch. Let's go over 3 of those now. Let's start with your credit cards, since almost everyone has a few. In fact, the average is almost 4 per American adult. Credit cards are a big source of debt, but they don't have to be. Sometimes you can save with a phone call. A financial company called Wallet Hub predicts 42 million Americans will pay at least one late fee this year. Many will pay more than that. Avoiding late fees is an easy way to save money, and often all you got to do is ask not to pay it. If you've had a credit card for many years and you've been a good customer, you can call the number on the back of your card and get some concessions. The biggest is waiving a late fee. If you've never been late before or it's been a while, you can often get the first late fee removed as a gesture of goodwill. You also might be able to shave down your interest rate if you mention another card has offered you less. And in 5 minutes online, you can surely find one. Then mention the new card and lower rate to the representative. You can also move your due date so it corresponds better with your paychecks, so you never get caught short and need to float that balance a little longer. Credit card companies often make these concessions because it's cheaper than losing a customer and finding a new one. We talked about using direct deposit to help you save, but that's not the only tech that can help. Instead of just automating your savings, you can automate your payments. Almost every bank and credit card, and even many municipal utilities, offers automatic bill pay. You set the day when you want a bill to be paid, and that amount is automatically deducted from your bank account right then, and not a day sooner. What's the advantage besides the worry of paying bills? You'll never pay a late fee again. We've mentioned already about sticking to a budget, but that's a little presumptuous. An annual debt.com poll shows that 1 in 5 Americans have never had a household budget. But if you don't know what you're spending, how can you save? It's time consuming to put pen to paper and create a budget from scratch. But what if you didn't have to? There are websites, apps, and programs that handle the drudgery of budgeting for you. They do the math in seconds instead of hours. Many of them costing nothing, and the ones that do have a price tag are only a few dollars. And here's how they work. One of the most popular is called Mint. Another is called Personal Capital. But a lot of banks and credit unions offer similar programs on their websites for their customers. Basically, you just type in your income and expenses, and these programs add it all up. You can even project your savings if you eat one less takeout dinner or if you refinance your mortgage. The software does the heavy lifting for you. Now, if that's a little too techy for you, there's a middle step. Websites like Tiller let you download customized spreadsheets that stay on your computer and you can easily personalize them. Quicken has software that's been around for decades, and most of us are familiar with it. Each solution has its pros and cons, but they all work. So it's really up to what makes you feel the most comfortable. Basically, we've been talking about do it yourself ways to trim your day to day budget so you can shunt some of those dollars into an emergency fund. Even a few dollars a week makes a big difference after a few months. But what about bigger problems and bigger solutions? Let's close today by talking about the opposite of saving for an emergency. That's living every day in debt. If you've been watching right now and thinking, I can never do this because I owe too much already, well, not so fast. You can get out of debt. You just need help doing it. There are places known as non-profit credit counseling agencies. Their trained and tested credit counselors will give you a free debt analysis that will probe your financial strengths and weaknesses. From there, they can advise you on proven programs that can help. Let's just talk briefly about one of the most common and powerful tools. A debt management program, or DMP for short, is basically an agreement between you and your credit card company. They'll freeze your penalty fees and lower your interest rate if you agree to make regular payments. Those payments go through the credit counseling agency, and you can make one payment that covers any credit cards you put under the DMP. So you pay less and save time too. So, what's the catch? Well, DMPs aren't free. It costs money for staff to administer them. But, and this is a huge but, that fee is rolled into your monthly payments and it's minuscule next to the savings you reap. That's probably why DMPs have been around for decades and have saved Americans millions of dollars. But you can't just sign up for a DMP on your own. The credit card companies work exclusively with nonprofit credit counseling agencies. DMPs are just one of the programs available to you. There are so many ways to save money and then sock away that money for when you really need it. I realize it might sound daunting to dump all of this on you at one time, but that's why we're here for you. If you have any questions about anything you've heard today, feel free to reach out to us. I know we've moved briskly today, so we're available anytime. Listen, our mission is to help you achieve financial freedom, and these presentations are like free samples you get at the candy store. They're just supposed to whet your appetite for more. So thank you again for your time today, and keep in mind that consolidated credit may be able to help you save money and get out of debt faster than you can on your own. Our licensed and trained credit counselors will provide you with a free debt analysis, as I mentioned earlier. We work with your creditors to lower your interest rates and eliminate fees. We consolidate your credit card debt into one low monthly payment. Call 1-800-210-3481. That's the number there on your screen to speak with a certified credit counselor and to start your path to getting out of debt today. Or always, you can feel free to go to our website, which is www.consolidatedcredit.org, and tell us a little bit about yourself, and one of our counselors will definitely call you. Should you have any questions about the information shared today, please feel free to email us, fined@consolidatedcredit.com. So again, thank you all for attending this month's webinar sponsored by Consolidated Credit, and we hope that you join us for next month's presentation. Until then, make the rest of your day the best of your day. Thank you again.